Kyrie Irving made his return against the Indiana Pacers last night. It didn't even look like he missed a beat. He came in, dropped 22 points, his first game in months, looked great. The Nets looked great. And the Pacers played a really good game. Lance Stevenson made his return last night as well. Dropped 30 points, had 20 points in the first quarter. Just unreal. Just weird game. Just a very weird game. And then Domantas Sabonis continued doing what he's doing, playing at an all-star level. Had a 30-point triple-double. The Pacers played good, but the Nets just played better. And that's really the way the Nets want to win, right? They're not a heavily defensive team. They're very offensive heavy. They want to put up as many points as they can and just hope the other team can keep up. And you saw last night, that was a prime example of how they wanted that team built. The Indiana Pacers put up 122 points, and usually that's good enough to beat a lot of teams in the NBA. Like, that's a lot of points, but it just wasn't enough to beat the Nets. So, Aiden, I have to ask you, so Kyrie Irving's back. Let's just say the mandate for New York stays in place. He can't play any more home games. Do you think the Nets are still the team to beat without Kyrie Irving if they only get him for half the games?
I do not think the Nets are the team to beat with Kyrie if he's only able to play half the games, because it's going to be too hard for the Nets to transition from a Kyrie-centric offense to a non-Kyrie-centric offense, especially when you have KD and James Harden playing so much iso ball without Kyrie, and the Nets are relying so much on their scoring. When you get Kyrie back, somebody who's really creative with getting to the lane and creating passes and creating shots for his teammates, it's going to be hard to go from that more ball movement from going back to iso ball when you're at home and the Nets don't have Kyrie.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like I said, Kyrie Irving is only going to be able to play the away games as long as they're not in California as well, because they have that mandate over there as well. So he won't be able to play in those games, won't be able to play at home games. So going forward in the playoffs, I just don't see how the Nets can really find a way to play two different games, because you're going to have to prepare for games without Kyrie Irving. You've got to prepare for games with Kyrie Irving. There's no rhythm. You can't get any rhythm when you do that. It doesn't matter how good your players are on the team. When you get Kevin Durant, James Harden, yes, they're great players, but they have to have a rhythm too. It doesn't matter how talented you are as a scorer. If you're consistently changing up your play styles to fit around one player, it's difficult to do, and it's not going to work. It's not going to win you an NBA title. NBA titles are already hard enough to come by nowadays with all these great players and all these elite scorers. So you have to have a very efficient system that you routinely work on throughout the whole season, and you can't have two different systems in one season and then go in the playoffs, be able to change, play this way, and then go and win the finals. That's just not going to happen.
The Nets are going to have serious issues when they get to the playoffs, because Kevin Durant right now without Kyrie is playing almost 40 minutes a game. And in order for the Nets to be able to beat these other title contending teams, Kevin Durant's having to go for 37 plus, 38 plus, playing 40 minutes. And that type of longevity is just not – KD's not going to be able to have that type of longevity entering the playoffs. And so Kyrie Irving brings two huge things that I think is going to help the Nets win, which is taking minutes away from Kevin Durant, number one, because like I just said, he's playing way too many minutes. And like I said earlier, giving ball movement to the Nets offense, which is way too reliant on iso ball, especially James Harden these last couple of games. The Nets are only 1-3 in their last 4. James Harden's been dribbling the air out of the basketball. And Kevin Durant's the only player on that team that no matter what is going to get buckets. James Harden, yes, he can be a great scorer, and we know he's a great scorer, but he's way too streaky. If you get Kyrie in there, he's going to start moving the ball around. You know, the bench players are going to get more involved. The spot shooters are going to get more involved. Hell, the big men will even get more involved, because right now one of the big problems with the Nets is they got old big men. So they're already bad on defense, so they need to be as efficient on offense as they can. And with this iso ball, especially in the playoffs when the game slows down and the court shrinks, it's going to be hard for these guys to go for 30 and 30 and bring their team a win in a playoffs with iso ball.
Yeah, and I mean, the longevity like you were talking about earlier, where you got all these players playing 30, 40 minutes a game throughout the course of an 82 season. I mean, it doesn't matter how good of an athlete you are, you wear down as the season goes on. 82 games is a lot of damn basketball, especially when you're playing at a professional level against the top talent day in and day out. You can't really practice or train yourself to be ready for all those games. And then when you're asked to be Kevin Durant and do play 30, 40 minutes, and pretty much score just so your team has a chance to win. If you go in the playoffs, Kevin Durant's going to be tired. You might see his offensive numbers start to drop a little bit. I mean, he's still going to put up 30, points a night. He's Kevin Durant, but that's going to carry over to defense. It's a two-sided game. You got to play offensive defense when you're tired. I mean, just ask yourself this: when you're playing pickup basketball and you're tired, how hard are you trying on defense? I mean, I get the stakes might be a little different between a pickup game and a playoff NBA game, but your body can only do so much. So when you're tired going into the playoffs and you got to make a defensive stop, you're going to be gassed. The other player is going to have the advantage on you. And I can just see that being the thing that really kills the Nets is their defense in the playoffs, and they've already been known to not be a great defensive team. So if they can't get it going every single game on the offensive end, they're going to be bound to lose a good bit of games in the playoffs if they even make it past the first round. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think they're really the team to beat right now.
I think if the Nets don't make a deep run into the playoffs this year, I think it might be time to blow this team up. I know it's early right now, and you could say that the Big Three hasn't played together for long enough, but I'm almost gotten to the point where I've seen enough. I know what James Harden can do, and I know what KD can do, and I know what Kyrie can do. I don't know if all three of them together are going to be enough, or if they gel enough chemistry-wise to be able to win the finals. Because if you look at the Golden State Warriors, they were able to do it with Kevin Durant and other great shooters because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are selfless players, especially Draymond Green. Some of the most selfless superstars, regardless of sport, of all time. And the same cannot be said for James Harden or Kyrie. Kyrie wouldn't even get vaccinated. I know I don't want to get into it. Kyrie wouldn't get vaccinated to join the team, which a lot of players view as selfish. James Harden has shown in the offseason he doesn't get in shape. He plays himself into shape during the season, which can also be seen as selfish. So if this Big Three doesn't make a huge leap into the playoffs, I think it might be time to blow it up.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're putting in all these superstars on one team, this isn't like a rebuilding stage. You're trying to win the finals now, not next year, not 2 years from now. You're meant to put all these superstars together to win the finals that season. And and they didn't do it last season, so really this is the season they have to do it. And if they can't do it, then they probably are never going to do it. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, y'all leave y'all's thoughts down below in the comments of what you think about the Brooklyn Nets, and do you think they're still the team in the East? If not, who do y'all think's the team to beat in the East? I would love to see what y'all have to say down below. I like to read and respond to every single comment, so please feel free to comment and engage with us. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we're going to catch you on the next video. See you.